Monday morning, the Board of Health met to discuss and give updates on the town's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Sigal Reese, Director of the Health Department, began by updating the board on the current cases and contact tracing activity. Stacy Lane, Assistant Director of the Health Department, explained the different types of testing and how it is done. Following that, Sigal Reese updated the board on the new phased openings that were proposed by the governor.
So the next big phase is starting today. The governor actually speaking now about the reopening. So we've received a little information from the state about how that will be enforced. We will again be the primary enforcement agency, but we will be working with the State Department of Labor Standards. And actually, Michael Flanagan is in charge of that. And I don't know if anybody remembers his name, but he used to work at Norwood Hospital as their facilities and emergency preparedness director. So he's great to see a familiar face there. And can reach out if we have questions. But so it'll be a joint effort between the Department of Labor Standards and local boards of health to enforce sort of the reopening guidelines and orders. Information was leaked out to the press, so I think we all got a little taste of it, what's going to happen, but we're looking at construction sites and manufacturing allowed to open, but they do have very restrictive guidelines and protocols that they have to follow to maintain social distancing, sanitation, hygiene requirements for employees. So all that will be enforced by the local health department in conjunction with the Department of Labor Standards. So they really want us working together and notifying each other as we get complaints. And we saw a little bit of that with the earlier orders from the governor that we were working with them, and they would send us letters to administer locally, things like that. So I'm hoping that goes smoothly.
Following the updates, the board discussed future events, including the Fall Flu Clinic and Fall Hazardous Waste Day. The next Board of Health meeting will be June 22nd. After just meeting on Thursday, May 14th, the Finance Commission held a meeting on Monday to reconsider the FY 2021 budget, which they had passed at the previous meeting. Commission members felt that the budget approved prior to Monday was a pre-COVID-19 budget, and changes would need to be made to adapt to the fiscal changes this pandemic may bring. The next Finance Commission meeting will be Tuesday at 4 o'clock. The Selectmen had a busy agenda for their Tuesday night meeting. The board went right into new business, which included some reserve fund transfers from the Fire and Police Department, as well as a PEG grant report from Verizon. Paul Halkiotis and Sigal Reese were on the call as collaborators of a proposed project for the town to create an outdoor restaurant seating option to help businesses comply with social distancing laws when the state begins its phase allowing restaurants to provide seating again.
2 weeks ago, the general manager brought together a group of department heads and tasked me with taking a look at our outdoor dining regulations in anticipation of what we now know will be phase 2 or 3 of an opening of our local restaurants. And we anticipate that once those restaurants can open, because of social distancing requirements, that not every seat in the restaurant can be occupied going forward.
Selectman Plasko addressed his concerns of the current proposal, especially with parking.
And I'm concerned that while we think we're helping the restaurants by increasing the seating, that we're taking away the parking they will need for those customers and the parking for everybody else who's a tenant downtown and trying to operate. And we don't have enough parking now on a good day. And I know we say while we're reopening business, there is not that much business, but we're doing things to encourage business. So they're going to need parking. And I think this becomes too drastic, too many spaces.
After some back and forth, the decision was made to come back to this discussion after a sit-down to try and find an agreeable solution. At the end of the meeting, the board formally announced the approval of Town Manager Tony Mazzucco's contract going forward. Congratulations, Tony, and thank you for all you do for the town in Norwood. Also Tuesday night, the Zoning Board of Appeals met and began their meeting with a continued public hearing from their previous meeting. The applicant at 16 High Street was filing to make alterations to their existing 2-family dwelling. After a brief discussion, the board approved the variance. In regular business, the board discussed a request for modification at 24 Brook Street, who is applying to add a bathroom to their garage, which would require a new address for the property. The board was strongly against this proposal and voted to deny the modification. The final business of the night was a request for relief and action at 1369 Boston Providence Turnpike. After some discussion, a motion was made.
Have anything else to add?
Yeah, as I understand what's going on, and I think more or less repeating what Mr. Murphy just said, I would agree and even move if necessary to get it going, that the board authorize town council to review and sign the settlement agreement. And well, there are two things: to review and sign the settlement agreement, and to also authorize town council to sign and file the agreement for judgment. I think we should vote to allow council to do both of those things.
Okay, why don't we do that? So we'll just do a quick straw poll. Obviously, Mr. Murphy, Mr. O'Reilly are yes. Mr. Mulvihill just indicated he's a yes. And Jack has indicated he's a yes. I'll also be a yes. So we'll give a
Yes.
5-0 vote to authorize Attorney DeLuca to sign off on it on our behalf when it comes back from the land court.
No, he's signing off on it to file it with the land court.
Right.
I'm sorry, excuse me, to file it from the land, I'm sorry, excuse me. To file it with the land court. So, yes, we have no problem with that, and we're in agreement with that, David. So,
The Conservation Commission held a special meeting last Thursday night. Their 7:30 appointment was a request for modification order of conditions for United Consultants Incorporated. The meeting wrapped up with the Conservation Agents Report. The Conservation will meet again in the coming weeks. To watch complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government channel or watch it on demand at nordcommunitymedia.org.